All right, everybody, welcome to the All Heat Team Call, January 22nd, 2019. So happy to see all your faces. I'm excited to be with all of you tonight because we have an amazing speaker. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Nikki Cotton. My husband and I host this call weekly, and we are national marketing directors with the Juice Plus Company, have been with the company 28 years. Never in my life would I've ever dreamed I would have stayed with anything for 28 years, including my husband. But I did, actually. I'm still with him. It's 38 years. It's amazing. And I did stick it out with my kids also. So fun to see you all. I'm not going to spend any time on me. I think the important thing we need to do is really hear from Jill. But I am going to tell you, I asked Jill for a little bio. And I said, or can I just tell them how I feel about you? And she said, just say whatever you want. And so I am going to tell you a little bit about my sense of who Jill is. I don't know how long ago we met Jill, a couple of years ago maybe. But what I can see that's happened to her over the course of the last year in listening to her and watching her and having some great private conversations with her is that over the years, she's become amazingly bold, really confident in who she is, understanding what she has to offer, and really believes in what she's doing. And I don't think you can have a better resume than that. I know, Jill, that you've got a couple of kids and you're a 50 club, and I'm turning this call over to you, and I'm going to spotlight you so that people can really see who you are. And you're, oh, there we are. You're not muted. Perfect. And it's not working. Why is my spotlight not working?
I'm ready to go.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go.
Although I still
whoa, that's a big picture of me.
Yeah, there it is. Yay. It is a big picture because you're beautiful. We want you big.
Thank you. Well, thanks, guys. I'm so excited. I did not realize many of you were on Nikki's team. Lisa, Michelle, I did not realize that. So thank you for having me. I will tell you that meeting Nikki, truly we had just, everyone knows who Nikki Cotton is, right? So of course I knew who she was. But we actually connected when she asked me to be in her deep dive for brilliant leaders. And I have to tell you, it goes along with what I'm going to talk about tonight. I thought she picked the wrong person. And I mean that. I'm not trying to be humble. I was like, I looked at the people, I'm like, Nikki Cotton, Catherine Lee, Jennifer, really? I said no, because I didn't think I was worthy. I thought, why would they want me in that group? I just couldn't even imagine it. And one thing Nikki has noticed is I have grown a lot. And just about maybe with the new year, I made a message to the group, and I told them the biggest blessing of that group was the growth I experienced, where I actually feel like I belong in there. That I actually, even though I don't have the size of business even close to what any of them have in their pinky toe, I realized I have a place. I realized I had something to offer, and I did need to be in there. And so as I'm talking tonight, I hope you remember that story, because you know, that's all of our story in our teams and out in life and society, everywhere. Just finding our own path and our own place and getting comfortable with who we are, and being okay with finding our blind spots, but also being okay with finding our gifts, which is more difficult for some of us. So I have been with the Juice Plus Company for 11 years, and I have to tell you, I love the way 50 Club sounds with my name, but I'm not quite there yet. When I saw Jill Herman 50 Club, I thought, you know what? That was meant to be, because I haven't hit it yet. And my team have come so close, like 48, 49. And it's like this Achilles heel. And when Nikki made the flyer, I thought, oh, I kind of like that typo. I'm going to keep it. So thank you for that, because I've never seen that number behind my name. So I've been with Juice Plus for 11 years. I am a blended family. We have 5 teenagers. Actually, we now have a 20-year-old. So we have a 20-year-old and 4 teenagers, 20, 18, 17, almost 16, and 14. 3 girls and 2 boys. I live in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I don't know if you know where that is, but I'm close to Chicago. So we're getting an ice storm tonight, and it was just -4 yesterday. So we get that lake effect from Chicago. And I was a registered nurse and worked for a long time as a nurse. And I heard about Juice Plus from a sort of well-known doctor in Juice Plus by the name of Dr. Candace Corson. I'm sure you all know Candace Corson. She's amazing. She was a complete stranger to me. I was at my first personal development course, first of 3. And I actually went to that course, not because I was excited to work on myself. I was 36 at the time. I'm 47 now. It was because one of the doctors I worked for and I had nannied for years asked me to accompany his college-age daughter. She was having some personal issues and she trusted me, and she and her mom weren't getting along so well. So I said, sure, it'll be a free weekend in Chicago and I'll be her friend for the weekend. Well, I don't know if any of you have ever gone to a personal development course. I don't recommend one over another. They're just all great. But it's different than listening to a podcast and reading a book. I mean, you are immersed for usually at least 3 12-hour days. And in a great way, you're gutted like a fish. You find things about yourself you didn't even know existed, good and bad. But it's all for the sake of growth. And so at that personal development course, when I didn't know why I was supposed to be there and I thought I knew why I was supposed to be there, that's where I heard about Juice Plus. The reason I share that story is because it was the reason that I was able to read the message of Juice Plus I did was because of the growth that I experienced in that course. It was a 2-weekend course, so 2 3.5 days weekends. And at the end of the second weekend, what I had realized about myself, because if we don't ever have anyone tell us how we occur in the world or how we show up in the world or how people experience us, there are different ways to say it. If no one truly gives us that bare knuckles feedback that doesn't feel so good, not some butterflies, but if we never get that feedback, we never really know how people see us. We think we know how people see us. Now, on one hand, it's so true. You shouldn't care what people think, right? Right? The opinions of others don't matter to us. At the same time, we also want to think about, how are we occurring to people? How are we coming across? So what I realized in that course that I didn't think I even needed, that I thought was just a weekend away, was that my childhood, although painful and chaotic and sometimes violent and not anything I would wish on anyone, and lonely and full of rejection and abandonment and never being told I was loved and not receiving a hug from my mother my whole life, right? It was controlling me and I didn't know it. And I was holding on to it like a security blanket and a pacifier. Now you might say, gosh, Jill, from the way you described it, you should have had a blanket and a pacifier. Well, when I was 5, yeah, but not at 36. So what was happening is that I was walking around life with victim mindset, with a victim mindset and victim thoughts and victim feelings and victim words, and I didn't know it. Yes, I was doing well in life, and I was married, and I was having babies, and I was working as a NICU nurse, an intensive care nurse, and everything looked great on the outside. But keeping with our title for tonight, Free Your Mind and the Rest Will Follow, there was a lot going on behind the scenes that no one knew of, and many of it I didn't even know of. I didn't know what's happening behind the scenes of this brain of mine, okay? So this is what's happening with all of us. Every single one of us, and no one's exempt. You look at people that you admire most, Jay, Martin, Nikki, all these leaders in our company. Everybody has head trash. Everybody has those stories in our heads. Everybody has things that hold them back, everybody. But of course, we think that no one has it as bad as me. I'm worse than everyone else. No one really looks at themselves in the mirror and says these things but me. It's just know that no one's exempt. What I've learned, and I know some of this is not new for any of you. I know that, but it's still worth talking about. What I've learned is that some people choose to live in that place and other people just kind of hang out there for a while. And other people get to the point where it's like a parking meter with a penny in it. Like they pull up, they're in a bad place or in that negative talk, and it's like there's a penny in the parking meter. I always tell people I had like a lifetime supply of quarters. My parking meter was always running because I was never going to leave that place of I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, no one understands, I had an awful childhood, for me. And at that course, it was the first of many times, because the same lesson will keep coming unless you master it, right? The first of many times where I really heard someone say, you're not just bigger than this, you need to stop. Like, you don't even know that you're coming across this way. Did it feel good? No, it felt horrible. I cried. It felt awful. I was angry. I didn't like the feedback I was getting. But that broke me open in a way that nothing had ever broken me open. And so then, and only then, when you go in and find those blind spots, in my opinion, that's where you find the gifts. You have to go find the blind spot. You dig in like a tree, pull it out, or maybe it's not forever, but at least it's moved to the surface. And then you see this wonderful, beautiful gift underneath that you didn't know was there. And it was actually being covered up by the other thing, by the wound, so to speak, okay? So that was when I could finally, for the first time in my life, realize, wow, everything is possibility. This whole world and life is possibility. I could do and be anything. I don't have to be miserable. I could be happy if I wanted to be. I don't have to have nightmares every night. I could actually have any life I choose. And so at that point, by no coincidence, because when we work on ourselves, right, what that does is it changes our energy and changes our vibration. We start attracting different things. Lo and behold, this beautiful woman sat next to me who I had not seen either weekend. And she said she was drawn to me. And she sat next to me and asked me about my life and asked me questions, didn't talk about herself at all, asked a lot of questions. And then when it was over, she said, I have no idea, but I thought of you because you're a nurse and a mom, and there's something that's been a huge blessing to my family. Would you be open? I have no idea. I thought of you because, would you be open? I have no idea. I thought of you because, would you be open? She used those words. And she hand wrote on a flyer, for Jill, warmly, Dr. Candace. I didn't see anything else on that flyer. I just saw her writing, and I thought, wow, I'm so touched. Never met this woman before. It was a Juice Plus event, a Juice Plus flyer. So that's where my story began. And the reason I was able to receive that openly is because of that work I just told you about. I think without that work, I would have probably not attracted her, and I would have looked the other way, thought it was weird, because I was someone who didn't eat well. I was not on the nutrition wagon at all. Lisa knows my whole background. I still fight it. I still fight pizza and burgers, trust me. And I was someone who didn't understand that nutrition was important, even though I was taking care of very sick people in the hospital. I just was not you would have never recruited me if you had known me, right? So didn't eat well, didn't understand nutrition, thought everything holistic was totally weird. I actually made fun of holistic people. I did. I was a total jerk. I was a traditionally trained nurse who ate a lot of junk and didn't get any of this. And I also, by the way, which is really funny, had a huge squinty eye to anyone in direct sales or network marketing. I called them all Avon ladies. And so I thought I was a smarty pants nurse who was better than all that. I also was extremely overwhelmed in my life. I worked 50 hours a week with 3 little kids. I was married before. It's a different life. My husband was an alcoholic and not recovered. We had tons and tons of medical debt because he had had a bone marrow transplant and an emergency cardiac procedure uninsured. It was an interesting life. So my point, why would I tell you that? Because I know a lot of you know this, but some of your team members don't. You never know. You never know who's going to say yes, and you never know who's going to do great in this business, and we can't prejudge anybody. I know we know that, but this is a story to prove that. I was the last person, if you wrote down everything about me, who you would ever want to recruit and who you'd ever predict would do well, let alone get to national marketing director. So lots of baggage, didn't believe in health and wellness and nutrition, didn't eat well, hated the idea of sales, made fun of network marketing and direct sales, had tons of stress in my life, and I literally had 3 jobs and was busy all the time, and super disorganized, and my friends called me hot mess. That was me. And it still is me, which is great, but you never know. So because this woman didn't prejudge me, and because she followed her heart, and because she asked me questions and didn't make an assumption about me, I was open. So that's where the story began. So like many of you, I was super passionate and super excited about this mission, and excited about the idea of getting out of a job that was really sort of suffocating me. I tell people, when I was working as a nurse, it got to a point after about a decade that I felt like I was going to work every day with a wool suit on, 3 sizes too small, and by the way, I'm allergic to wool. That's how I felt for every 12-hour shift that I worked. I did. I was suffocating. I didn't know that there was an option like this for me. I did not have a bachelor's degree. And for a long time, I was embarrassed. I didn't want to tell anyone that. But I actually had gone back to school a second time after my first child was born to go to nursing school. So I had a 2-year degree called an associate's degree. Why does that matter? Because you can't do a lot with an associate's degree. So I felt very trapped by the nursing profession. I didn't know there would be something like this. So this has just been amazing for me. So what we're talking about tonight, right, is freeing your mind. The whole topic of mindset and personal development isn't new to any of you, right? I mean, we talk about this stuff. We've got the Brene Brown course. We're all reading these great books. But I still want to talk about it in relation to our business because it's a journey. It's not a one and done. I mean, you just keep growing. And the growth that Nikki mentioned that I've had in the last year, it's enormous. And it's not enormous in a way where I can say I'm 100 club. But I have grown in ways that are immeasurable. And my team has a whole new energy about it, a whole new cohesion, this stickiness I've never seen before, this independence, intrinsically motivated people are coming into my business because I changed when I brought in a new level of people who brought in different kinds of people. And it takes a while, right, for that to turn over, and you're shedding layers almost like a snake sheds, right? And at some point, I've realized, took me 11 years, guys. I don't want you to take that long. 11 years, I realized, oh my goodness, it was all about my growth. It's all about helping others, but it's all about my growth, your growth. Because your team that you're willing to, that you're able to attract and bring in, no matter how good you are, no matter how great your lines are, no matter how many great networking groups you're in, no matter what social circles you run in, you and I will not attract the people we can attract unless we're growing and the level of people, I hate to say it like that, but I know you know what I mean. I'm not talking about their worth as humans, but the level of the caliber of people and their mindset, right, will never exceed your own self-worth and your own mindset. Never. Because if you're feeling you're here and you bring we always say recruit up, right? Well, I personally believe that you can only recruit up so far. Because I think that if you recruit too high up and you haven't come closer in mindset and in self-worth, you'll somehow sabotage it. You'll run from it. You'll do something because you won't feel that you're worthy. You'll feel like you're not good enough. I know this person. How can I help them? How can I serve them? When truly it's not about you and I anyway. But that's what we'll do. So when we look at the business, I heard Linda Evenden, Australia. You know Linda Evenden. I grew up in the business with her. We're both in the same organization. And I heard her say about a year ago that this business was like 80% mindset. And I actually added 10% to that. I say that it is 90% mindset, 10% mechanics and skill set. The problem is that we're spending most of our effort on the 10%. We're spending so much effort on the how. Now, it's not that it's not important. We have to know some skills, right? We have to master some skills and you know how to answer questions and invite to events. All that's very important. But for many of us, we're spending most of our effort on the 10% and very little effort on the 90%. And that's why you see people in this business who just seem to it's easier for them somehow. Like, are they luckier? Why is it easier? But do they know more people? No, it's the mindset piece. Nobody will tell me otherwise. For the last year, have spent so much, I guess effort would be the word, but I'm glad I spent the effort figuring this stuff out and really, really soul searching and then watching the results of my team. Nobody will ever convince me otherwise. I've seen it. So 90% mindset, only 10% skill set. And we sometimes think that we can be one way in Juice Plus and one way in life. And we really can't. And I know we've all heard this, the saying many times. I didn't make it up, that your Juice Plus business is a direct reflection of your life. We've heard that. I heard it and I said it to lots of people, but I didn't get it. I really get it now, that there's you can't run, you can't hide. There's no way you and I are different in Juice Plus than we are in our life. And you might say, that's not true. My friend Holly said, I'm really good, Jill. I'm an instructional coach for schools. And I'm so good at that. Why do I struggle in here? And I said, that doesn't prove that the Juice Plus business isn't a reflection of your life. What that shows is that in your business, those buttons haven't been pushed yet. That your career outside of Juice Plus isn't challenging you in the ways that Juice Plus is, so you don't see that these are your blind spots. Because in the Juice Plus business, my friend Sandy Valou says, the jig is up. I love how she says that. She said, the jig is up. And I added that you can't, and you can't, and the jig is up is because in this business, as wonderful as it is a personal development course, and it is literally taking yourself on. It is taking yourself on and finding your self-worth and owning it. I believe that that's the journey. Because when I can find my self-worth, and Michelle can find her self-worth, and Heidi and everybody else, when we can say, I am enough. I am enough. As Rachel House says, I am meant for more, or made for more, right? When we can truly believe that, it's not so hard anymore. Then it's a matter of just consistency and work ethic and, doing the do and doing the calls. That matters, right? You can't be lazy. But this matters more. This means more than this, because this will sabotage this all day long. This will trump this all day long. We can give you a million trainings on how, what to say. Remember, but if the belief inside and the lack of self-worth is there, and the I'm not good enough is there, and you're not dealing with that, doesn't matter how good you are. All the trainings are completely worthless. So as we grow, right? So we're growing and we're evolving. The business itself is a personal development course. Okay, so let's say it goes like this. In my opinion, this is my own opinion and experience, I think that the business will evolve you and grow you if you dig in, and if you really you do those 3-way calls and you go out and ask people to join. I mean, you can hide in this business easily, right? But if you don't hide and you dig in, no matter how bad you are at this, you will grow. Will you not? You're going to grow into a person you didn't know you could be. The secret sauce is to do that and do the personal growth with it. The outside stuff, the courses, the books, the podcasts. If you do both of them together, you're going to have an unbelievable ride and an unbelievable journey and completely different results. I can say this after 11 years of this and making tons of mistakes and missing so many goals and being at the same position for so long and then having growth and then falling back. And I mean, it's just the way it is on one hand, but I didn't really understand until now how much the personal growth piece matters. The other thing that happens is as you evolve and you grow, what I've learned is you get to a point where you realize what you're not willing to tolerate anymore. You tolerate a lot more than you want to tolerate when your self-worth isn't that big, your paycheck's not that big, you feel like you're struggling, you don't feel good enough, you feel lucky to get anyone with a heartbeat. You'll tolerate anything. I don't know about you, but I could tell you story after story of me carrying people on my back, and this group of chiropractors telling me they were all joining my team, and I did all the work. Back when we called it a 10-1-10, now it's the 2000 plus. I built 10 10-1-10s on one leg because these guys, it just used me, but I volunteered for it. I signed up for it. I can't be upset with them because I didn't think I was worth any more than that. When this week, someone who's a medical device rep, a spine rep, really well-known guy, very active in our community, told me that his friend wants to put Juice Plus in 5 different spas and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, not interested. I wasn't impressed at all because I could tell he wasn't teachable. I could tell he wasn't coachable. And I just have grown beyond that. I'm not going to trip over millions to pick up pennies. And so as your self-worth grows, you're also willing to tolerate less. You're willing to, you realize some things that some of these might be hard for you to hear, not because they think you're like wimpy or something, but hard to hear. And if you have heard these before, you might think, whoa, she's not very nice. Because I heard some of these things. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you to put your seatbelt on. A few things that I have learned in this last year, as far as tolerating, is that you don't have to respond to, as Catherine calls, the ask holes. You don't have to respond to them. The people who are asking the same question over and over and over, you don't have to get frustrated with them either, though. Right? This doesn't give you permission to judge them or get frustrated or to get angry with them. But you don't have to be at their beck and call. The people that keep asking the same questions over, where's that flyer again? What are we doing again? When's that call again? You guys, they can figure it out. How do I know? Because you figured it out. Now, does that mean we should never help anyone? No, no, no. But you know what I'm saying? There are certain people who will keep asking and asking and want you to do everything for them. And if your children do that, what happens when they leave the house? The person they marry isn't too happy with you, right? If they can't do anything for themselves. So one thing I learned a year ago, and I have to give credit where credit's due, it was Linda. It was Linda Evenden, who I said we grew up in a business together, we're friends, and she was coaching me, and I said, look, I'm not the kind of person who's going to ask you, what's your secret? I'm just not going to do that. I know what the secret is. You work super, super hard, and you do tons of personal growth. But I am going to ask you this. What is a lesson that you have learned that has made all the difference that you think I haven't learned yet? She said, I can tell you what lesson you haven't learned yet. She said, you still feel responsible, Jill, for everybody's success and everybody's failure. I said, say it again. She said, you know how, because at this point, a lot of people we're all at different points, but at some point, everybody gets to the point where they're tired of carrying people on their back. They realize they can't do it. They're exhausted. They're not willing to do it anymore, right? But what I still did until Linda pointed it out to me is I felt responsible. I may not have been doing all the work, but I still in my heart felt responsible. If I only love them enough, if I only coach them enough, if I only do enough phone calls with them, if I only get into a conference, then they'll do it, then they'll get it. I cared more than they did about their success. And it doesn't mean they didn't care, but I cared more. I'd be laying awake thinking about it while they're sleeping away, And what she said was, first of all, that's okay. No judgment. But who's getting hurt here? Me. And so I was carrying the weight of all that burden on me, saying, oh, I've evolved. I don't do all the work for everybody anymore. I don't push a rope uphill. We've all seen those trainings and done those trainings, right? But what I was doing was carrying the burden of their success and the burden of their failures. What does it look like? That means when someone did a 2000 plus, feeling like it was because of me. I've got a new qualifier, right? I've got a new FDSC, my new fabric coordinator. There's nothing wrong with that language. We all use it, but think about it. This is what Linda taught me. The energy behind that may not be this, but with some people like me, it was. Look what I did. Look what I helped make. Look what I tried to. And you might say, well, Jill, you did. Well, I did work hard. I did attract them. But I did the same thing with them that I did with all the 10 people that didn't call me back. It wasn't me who made them successful. So Linda said to me in her accent, I really can't do it very well, but I can kind of do it with this one sentence. She said, you're not that important. And I said, I'm not? She said, no, you're not that important, Jill. She said the biggest lesson she learned is that she's not that important. She said, I plug them into the system. I will work as hard as they need to work. I'll run as fast as they can work, right? Run as fast as they can run and work as hard as they can work. And I'm not responsible for them, for their failures or for the successes. I take no credit for their success. I take no responsibility for their failure. This may sound like lip service, but I'm telling you, I decided to start living this. And this is many of my NMD friends have seen in me. They're like, you just seem so chill about this. And I said, I am. Right? It's not, at some point you realize I'm not going to chase people. We've all heard that, right? Around maybe sales coordinator. So you're like, I'm tired of chasing people. It's too hard. And then you evolve a little more and then you evolve a little more. I still, again, was carrying that burden. When I let that go and I realized I actually have not much to do with their success, that means I don't have much to do with their failure. So I do take credit for being able to attract them. I take credit for the hard work and the 3-week calls and matching their efforts, but that's it. Hands off, that's it. I don't get credit for any more of it. So that means when they go away and they disappear and they decide not to do anything or whatever happens, I also don't own that. It's a very freeing feeling. Some of you are already there, great. Many of you are not. How do I know that? Because I think most people are still doing that. Most of us are feeling like that. So in my story, when I became a Juice Plus representative, distributor, franchise owner, it's all the same thing, right? What I realize now looking back is that the way I got to national marketing director is that I just outworked everybody. I'm a super hard worker. I never doubted myself. You might say, Jill, I thought you said you didn't have self-worth. There's a difference. I was very confident in my work ethic and very confident in my ability if I worked hard. I was one of these people, right? But I had very little self-worth inside, so it came back to and haunt me later. But in the beginning, I hustled and hustled and hustled, and I worked so hard that I got to national marketing director. You might say, well, Jill, I'm working hard too. I'm telling you, it was like nonstop. I was determined. I believe, well, it was two things. I worked super hard and hustled consistently, and I truly believed I was going to get there. I never once doubted national marketing director. I believed it from day one. I knew it was going to happen. I just didn't know when. Reset my goal 25 times, but I got there. It took 4 years. Okay, so why am I telling you that? Because many times we can mask success by just working really hard, right? So no, let me say it again. Many times what we'll do is we will say, I got that result. It doesn't matter how I got there. What I'll tell you is there are two ways to get to where you want to be. One is with peace, love, no stress. Another way is dead by the side of the road. You might as well have pulled my corpse up on stage when I gave my NMD speech. I had nothing left. Nothing left. It wasn't like, oh, I just worked hard. I literally worked harder than I should have. Why? Because I didn't have the self-worth. Because I was dragging everybody along. Why was I dragging people along? Because of what we're talking about. I didn't feel worthy of any of it. So I worked really hard and made up for the difference. But then it was harder than it needed to be. Does that make sense? Way emotionally and physically harder than it really needed to be. This doesn't need to be that hard. This business does not need to be that hard. Now you can work consistently and put lots of time in and get goals and all that, but it emotionally does not need to be hard. You actually can get to the point, I promise you, where it's emotionally very easy. You might say, oh, there's no way. The only reason it's emotionally difficult for us is because we're signing up for that class. We're the ones who are stupid, who didn't do this and who didn't do that and who didn't show up to the event and who isn't coming to conference and who didn't call me back and who didn't reach the goals. But if we don't feel responsible for any of it and we realize we're not that important and we let go and release all of that, this actually isn't stressful at all. I'm not saying it just magically happens like this. No way. But it's not stressful. It's not stressful. The only thing that makes it hard is the story we make up about it, right? We don't reach a goal. We make up a story. Oh, it's me. But what if we just said, okay, interesting. That kind of sucked. Didn't reach that, but okay, whatever. That's what was supposed to happen. And you start over. I wish I could wish this on everyone because I spent 10 years not doing that. I spent 10 years beating myself up, and it's so freeing not to be that way. So let me just pause and say before I finish, that I want all of you to hear me say that you're not only exactly where you're supposed to be, you are kicking butt. You are doing so well. And I don't say that in a condescending way. I don't care where you are in the marketing plan. You're doing so well. Taking on a network marketing business at all is a very courageous thing. I think it is the most courageous thing to swim upstream, to be a Fruit Loop in a world of Cheerios, to go against the adversity and the snarky comments and the ignorance out there. Just saying yes to this, you are way head and shoulders above everybody else. Then sticking with it, even if you don't get results like you want, as fast as you want, then you're even higher and head and shoulders above everybody else, right? Not quitting no matter how you go, you're even higher. So you need to hear this. I mean, the average Juice Plus distributor has 7 customers. Why doesn't anyone tell us? 7 customers. So if anybody on here who has 8 customers, you're above average. But what do you feel like? You feel like you're a loser. You feel like you're not doing well enough. You feel like everybody else is doing it better. Because in life and in this business, we're always focusing on the moving carrot. But then when I get that, then when I get that, I'll be doing well. But I can't just get to 2,000 plus. I get a fast track to sales coordinator. Once I do that, but then I have to be a POB. Now, trust me, goals are great. Obviously, I like goals, so setting them. But we don't want to tell ourselves that if we don't reach the goal, we're not something, and that when we reach the goal, we are something. We don't have to reach the goal to be anything. You are that just as you are. And when you reach that goal, it's just that you've reached the goal. right? It has nothing to do with our self-worth and what we think of ourselves. I hope that all of you will really work on that after this call, because I think the biggest enemy in this business, and we don't hear this a lot on trainings, and we don't hear it from the main stage, but Nikki knows I'm going to say what I think. The biggest enemy is comparison, and us also being so hard on ourselves, our worst critics. And you think that you get over that when you're a national marketing director? Howdy doody, no way. Every national marketing director I know says, oh my gosh, me too. I thought I sucked too. We all do this to each other, all of us. I thought you were doing better. Well, I thought you were doing better. Wait a minute, I thought you were not. We all do this. Everybody does it. So if we decided not to, wouldn't that be the coolest thing ever? Okay, I almost finished. So what did I do then? What changed? Well, besides the fact that I divorced that husband and got out of that horrible life I had, and met the man of my dreams, that's kind of important. I mean, it really is. It really is. If you have people on your team who are in really toxic marriages and there's addiction and other things, just give them grace, guys. It is so hard to even get through the day, and have a job and have children, and then you choose class with that. It is good night. You have no idea. It's so hard. So besides doing that, I'm certainly not promoting divorce, but in my case, it was a good thing. Besides doing that, though, I really started working on myself. And you might say, well, I thought you already did that. Well, 11 years ago, I did that course. It's never enough. You keep evolving. You keep growing. So I did another course. And then I started reading books, right? I started doing what a lot of you are doing. And some things were revealed to me that I did not know about myself before. And that's why you have to be consistent. You know how when you start somebody new and you want them to be in daily contact with you, let's say it's on Voxer, and when they're not, the problem is that they're like doing peekaboo and they lose momentum, and you want to tell them about this, but you can't even get to this because they haven't started this, and you're like pulling your hair out. Does anyone know that feeling? Okay. So it's the same with personal development, in my opinion. If you don't keep doing it, you're never going to get to this piece over here that God is trying to give you here, because you're still struggling with this. And you're like, oh, I'll read this book, and then I'm going to do nothing. And then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do nothing. But if you're consistent with it, you start learning more and more, and things start getting together, and the puzzle pieces work together, and then the gifts come faster. So
Nikki, her signal's been weak the whole
I don't know
time.
what happened.
Her signal's been weak. She'll pop back on. It's been really weak. She just got kicked off.
I don't know why I'm doing that. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello. You guys hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you.
I was doing that. I'm so sorry. So anyway, personal development is the same way. You have to stick with it. So putting up on that, you know, we talk about affirmations and all that stuff. It sounds a little woo to some people, but you know what? Gosh darn it, they work. I mean, they just do. I'd love to say they don't, but they do. And there's one big one called the Universal Success Mantra. And if somebody could type it as I say it in the chat with everybody. If you haven't read The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, it is a game changer. And Linda gets credit for that too. She told me that was her game changer. The Big Leap. It's pretty intense. I had to listen to it 3 times to really absorb it. I'm a little bit slow. But this is the Universal Success Mantra. He is saying, based on his research, is that of all the affirmations all over the place, this is the most powerful one. It is, I expand in abundance, creativity, success, and love every day as I inspire those around me to do the same. I expand in abundance, creativity, success, and love every day as I inspire those around me to do the same. Isn't that so juice plus? I say that every day, all day, in my head. I write it down. That changed everything. The second piece that was huge for me is that besides really focusing on letting go of comparison, right, finding that I'm enough, all of that, the other piece to that that was missing is that I felt bad and guilty for being open to receiving abundance. I thought it was bad and wrong. It was my old religious programming that just kind of made me feel that was wrong. And a friend of mine said, don't you think your creator wants that for you? And I said, probably. She said, well, why don't you just ask for it? So I started saying every day, I am open to receiving abundance. I am open to receiving abundance. And ooh, it felt so weird. So for me to feel good about it, I have to do gratitude first. So I first say I'm grateful for everything in my life, all the lessons, all the people, all of it. And I go through everything I'm grateful for. And I am open to receiving abundance. I have my hands open in the shower every day. I'm open to receiving abundance in all life areas, my health, my wellness, my marriage, my finances, my friendships, everything. I am open. I am worthy to receive abundance. That might sound a little weird to you, okay? Just take it or leave it. But that changed my life in the last year. So besides the no comparison, the affirmations, open to receiving abundance plus gratitude, devouring tons and tons of books, it was truly, truly letting go of that feeling that I'm responsible for my team. And the way it looked was like this. And no one has to do this. This is what I did. Now, if you're wondering if this, yeah?
Can you hear me? So our call is usually 30 minutes. And so I just want to know if we can wrap this up, only because I have another call I have to do.
I'm on my last sentence.
Great. I know people are loving this because of all the texts that come in. They're outrageous. But if we can wrap
so
up,
sorry.
amazing.
Yep. So besides not feeling responsible for anyone, then I started putting it into action. And this was hard for me, but I got out of a lot of Voxer chat. I love Voxer. I couldn't live without it. But I'm not in a bunch of chats, tons and tons of chats. It was too much for me. And I realized I don't need to micromanage people. I'm choosing to see them as capable. I'm choosing to see that they can do this. They can figure it out. So even if, you have to ask your NMD how she feels. But for me, I'm not even, if I sponsor someone, once they reach 2,000 plus, I'm not even in the chats with their people. I'm not. I welcome them and then I'm done. They do it. So I have a booking link. People have to book appointments with me. And I just have a sense of freedom. So you're not responsible for their success. You're not responsible for their failure. You're allowed to not compare yourself to anybody. You're doing great just as you are, and you are enough. So thank you. Sorry I went a little bit over.
Well, what I know, Jill, is that people, I actually snapshot some of the comments. So if you didn't see them, I'm going to send them to you as well as to our team, because you got some absolutely amazing love compliments from people, and you really had some impact on people tonight. So
thanks.
With that said,
sorry, I forgot to say one thing. The proof, though, in the pudding, though, is that our team grew by 31% last year, and I've never worked less than in this last year. It's everything I just told you.
Never worked less and grew 30%. That's a great place to end this call. Jill Herman, I love you. It was amazing. Your transparency and your gift that you're giving tonight was beyond. So I'm going to send you some of those snapshots that I took, and I'm going to jump off the call. You guys, love you all, and this will be up on our Heat Team Facebook group, so all of you can share it with friends and family. Love
Thank you,
all.
Jill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And give Jill a great warm
You rocked it.
Thank you.
That was
Thank
incredible.
you. I love you.
Oh, good night.
Bye, Carrie.
Oh, I love you too.
Bye.
Bye, Jill.
Bye.
Nikki.